All right, so the Methods Research Workgroup has formulated some OKRs for 2025. Just to remind everybody that our mission is to empower real-world evidence generation through collaborative innovation in statistical and computational methods. So we are focused on just research of methods that hopefully improve our work in OHDSI. We have three main objectives. The first one is to promote awareness and collaboration in methods research. So to make sure that everybody is aware of what methods research is going on. For that purpose, we are maintaining a comprehensive directory of ongoing methods research where people can mention what they're working on. We aim to have at least 6 presentations of ongoing methods research during our workgroup meetings. And by ongoing, I very explicitly mean work that hasn't been published yet, so that it's still in a state where the feedback that people can give actually has impact, and perhaps there can be opportunities for further collaboration on that research. And then a third key result is we've established a never-ending list of methods research topics. So, like, for example, I'm run across all these ideas for methods research all the time. We were putting them all in a spreadsheet, and then other people can see if they want to pick up that work and work on them. And so the key result is to have at least 3 topics of the never-ending list being picked up by researchers in the community. Second objective, provide sources for development of new methods. We don't really have a good plan here, other than that people have noticed that the people that want to do the methods research don't always have access to data. And so we want to see what options are available for providing said method research with actual data in the OMOP CDM. And the third objective, disseminate best practices. So the idea of the methods research is to inform best practices. So we should disseminate what we've learned. So the key result here is to have 3 drafted manuscripts describing methodological best practices as established by the OHDSI Methods Research Workgroup. And that's it. Thanks.
Great. Thank you, Martijn. And next up is Claire. She's going to discuss our CDM workgroup and then our evidence network.
All right. Wonderful. Okay. So just quick getting started on CDM. The purpose of the work group you can see here, really high-level takeaways is we want to make the OMOP CDM the premier observational health data model in the world. And we do want to provide guidance to others on data standardization best practices as it comes to using the OMOP CDM. So our first objective is we want to lay the groundwork for the next CDM release. We are right now targeting a minor release of the CDM in 2026. So what we will be doing this year is to determine which proposals are potentially eligible for an inclusion. We want to obtain feedback from all relevant users of the OMOP CDM, as well as all OHDSI work groups who would be impacted by said changes. Likely this will be every single working group, so we will be getting feedback from pretty much everyone in the community here. And then we want to establish a timeline and communication strategy for this release, making sure that we are expanding our reach, as we talked about at the last Global Symposium. Right, next. All right, and then we have 2 more objectives here. One is just making the preparations to our current CDM for a new version. We do have some small bugs that have been identified, as well as some documentation updates that need to occur before we can release a new version. And then our third objective is to advance the maturity model for CDM extensions. We talked a lot about this in our last working group meeting, meaning we want to identify potential gaps in the coverage of the CDM that cannot be addressed with themis conventions. We want to then create a list of all extensions and expansions currently available, made available by many of you in the community, and link them to these potential gaps we've identified. And then we want to define the levels of maturity of all these expansions and extensions. So we are definitely looking for help to achieve these goals. Our next meeting is Tuesday, February 18th at 9 a.m. Eastern. So to join, you've heard us say this before, but odyssey.org workgroups tab, and you can select common data model. And it looks like that. All right, for the next one is the OHDSI Evidence Network, which we're going to be talking a lot about in March as we get into understanding how we are going to assess data network fitness for use as it comes to our 14 studies. So our first objective here is to enhance the communication and visibility of the OHDSI network, because we are trying to engage in new data partners and support our current data partners. So a couple of things that we talked about at our last meeting for the Evidence Network is we want to build out our website. This is something we have heard from current data partners as well as prospective data partners. This is something we desperately need, so we are currently working on that. And after we get through our fitness for use work in March, we want to focus on writing and publishing a paper describing the network as we outlined in our protocol we shared with the community, I believe last July and August. And our second objective is to leverage the evidence network to enhance the scientific rigor and impact of network studies. And this directly is related to the work we are engaging in this year with generating evidence to fill those gaps in clinical guidelines. So we want to improve the fitness for use methodology and use those improvements we identify over the course of this work to release a version 2 of data diagnostics. And then the big one here is to utilize the evidence network to determine potentially appropriate sources for the community's prioritized study questions for 2025. And again, if you would like to join us instead of Common Data Model, this time you select Evidence Network. Our next meeting is actually this Thursday, February 13th at 10:30 a.m. Eastern. Patrick will actually be joining us as we start to brainstorm around this fitness for use question. So if you'd like to join, now would be a great time.
Great, thank you, Claire. Next up will be our patient level prediction and Jenna Reps.
Hi there. So just to give you a scope of the work group, so patient prediction, we meet monthly, but we actually collaborate throughout all the time. And we basically get together and discuss best practices and methods of research for developing prediction models with the observational healthcare data that we have. We also maintain 2 R packages, so you'll see that come up in the OKRs as well. And right now, AIC is actually leading those 2 packages. Next slide. So our first OKR, the aim is that we want to improve our dissemination. So this is both internally and externally. So our first aim is going to be to create a calendar with all the conferences that we think could be useful targets for actually getting our research externally, and also so we can meet face to face. We're actually a very spread out group. We're all over the world, and it would be nice to get together more often so we could actually see each other and work on some neat projects. We're also going to have some dedicated time in the call so that we can actually discuss research. If anyone has a research idea, or if they're thinking of something, if they're already in the works on it, or if they just want to present the findings they have, we're going to have 10 minutes at the beginning of the call where people can actually mention any of the work they're working on. And we're also going to have a more planned strategy for communicating developments with the R package. I want to shout out that tomorrow we actually have our second meeting of the year, and we've got a very exciting presentation planned at 9 a.m. Eastern time tomorrow. So if any of you are interested, please come along. The second goal is to make it easier for people to use our R packages. So we are going to go to the users and the developers and find out where we have bottlenecks and challenges that we can work on to make the packages even easier. We're also going to be expanding and changing our YouTube videos. We found YouTube actually to be a nice way of actually training people in our code, but our code changes all the time, so we need these updated, so we're going to do that. Shout out to AIC that he's already accomplished our third aim here. So we want to get patient prediction to CRAN. I got an email today saying that AIC's already accomplished that. So patient prediction is now in CRAN, which for those of you who don't know what CRAN is the main repository for R. So if you install the package through R, normally you'll be doing it through CRAN. And then we also want to make sure we have better test data. So Eunomia is good. It's been nice. It's a synthetic data set that was created, but we want to make one that's better for prediction. And we also want to create a Docker container so that we have a nice environment that's well tested to enable people to do prediction studies easily. So this will just make it easier to run prediction studies. And then our final OKR is to continue the research that we've been doing. So we've actually been a successful group where we've been getting a lot of output. And last year, we had at least 3+ papers that were done through collaborations within this group. And we want to expand that to even more papers this year. So I've put here just some of the main topics of interest, like temporal features, transfer learning, federated learning, and looking at other types of data in the models. This will expand over time. And if you have an interest in a research question, come to the group, get this added, and we can start working on this. And hopefully this year we'll get 4+ papers out of this. And at that, I'll hand you back to Craig.
Great. Thank you so much, Jenna. Next up, we have new leads for our early stage researchers work group. Presenting today is going to be Harry Reyes-Nieva. And before he goes, I'm going to give a mini shout out to Harry, who within the last 2 weeks successfully defended his dissertation at Columbia University, DBMI. He's been an active contributor in OHDSI for several years now, but I did want to make sure we shouted that out for Harry. Harry, you can take over now.
Thank you, Craig. Wow, did not expect that. So hi, everyone. So Ben, Shonak, and I are the new co-leads, as Craig mentioned. And the purpose of the early stage researchers working group is to foster a welcoming community for junior members of the OHDSI community. We seek to support their growth as researchers by providing resources, answering questions, and facilitating opportunities for them to present their work, find mentorship, and advance in their career paths. So we've identified several OKRs for this year, the first of which is to identify and align our activities with the needs, priorities, and goals of OHDSI early stage researchers. And to do this, we'll start by creating and conducting an annual survey. Then in consultation with our members, we'll use survey findings to develop a strategic plan and roadmap and evaluate our OKRs accordingly. As in the past, we want to continue fostering opportunities for mentorship and engagement, including our Meet the Mentor sessions during our monthly meetings, wherein more experienced researchers talk about their career paths and OHDSI-related topics. Our goal is to have at least 30 participants at each monthly meeting. We also want to organize smaller Meet the Mentor roundtable sessions to foster more informal discussions with just a handful of early stage researchers based on a sign up and matching process. And we have envisioned that these will happen both online and in person at various OHDSI symposia. Lastly, we're also eager to develop a directory to help facilitate matchmaking among potential mentors and members. So we also want to help early stage researchers get involved, seen, and connected through OHDSI. So we plan to develop an onboarding roadmap for trainees. We want to encourage and support participation in OHDSI symposia through abstract submissions. So we're hoping to see at least 5 in the coming year, actually more, but we're trying to set small goals. And we also plan on allotting time during our monthly meetings to spotlight early stage researchers and provide them with opportunities to present their work as well. And as I mentioned, Ben, Shonak, and I are the new co-leads of the group, but with an eye towards sustainability and leadership development. We plan on expanding our leadership structure, so there are dedicated roles for organizing our monthly series, the mentor-mentee matchmaking directory, outreach, and other activities. Importantly, OHDSI is a global community, as we all know, and we'd really like to see and support a diverse leadership structure. So we plan on identifying representatives to serve as liaisons with our regional chapters. And as a concrete goal, we want to see membership from at least 3 active members from at least 3 regional chapters. Lastly, we want to help OHDSI grow and our membership grow within our working group. And so to that end, we plan on developing additional promotional materials, advertising OHDSI in the working group to institutions and organizations that haven't previously participated in OHDSI. And we want to distribute these materials as well at non-OHDSI scientific fora, in particular those that cater to early stage researchers. So our meetings are currently scheduled to occur on the first Thursday of each month at 2 p.m. Eastern. Our next meeting is scheduled for Thursday, March 6th. We recognize that we can't accommodate all time zones, and we do plan on reevaluating this as part of our annual survey to try and ensure that we can get the greatest amount of participation as possible. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Harry, and all of the new co-leads. Another work group that has new leadership is our Women of Odyssey, and presenting today is Sarah Seeger.
Yeah, hey everyone. So yes, the Women of Odyssey was obviously a work group that was around, I think, around COVID time. And I'm actually really quite happy and excited to kick it off again for 2025 and moving forward. So there are some super long-term goals. So we do want to get more involved in the research and obviously the data and standardization side, but as you can tell, there is so much happening across the community already. So what we've decided is that we are going to really focus on one thing this year, and that really is around empowerment, giving back. And so if you go to the next slide, Craig, essentially what we are looking to do is for this year ahead is to basically create this work group that's a safe space for everyone. Yes, it's Women of Odyssey, but we want male allies. We want everyone to come and get involved. And what we plan to do is to hold a number of events, activities, workshops where we can help sort of support, develop and give back to all of you Odyssey collaborators. So some things to look forward to and to expect. We're going to have some real life stories. Obviously, we've heard from early stage researchers where there's meet the mentors. We can link with the other work groups to make sure that you hear from the earliest collaborators through to the most seasoned. We're going to have networking opportunities, various webinars, but more immediately, and moving to the last slide, as we are 11th of February, we are moving very quickly towards International Women's Day, which is in March. I think it's about this time in March, actually next month. And what we want to do, so as it's here or nearly here, we're going to use International Women's Day and we're going to have basically celebrate it from an Odyssey perspective. And so there's an immediate request. I'll start to put this out and use the Odyssey forum, but let's get involved. Let's start to use something like Instagram. We're going to put a template together where you can add your photo and tag Odyssey, obviously, but also tag some of the inspirational colleagues that you have out there. So we've got the hashtags as well that you can put as part of your post, but look forward, keep an eye out, keep an ear out as to what is going to come next with regards to Odyssey's International Women's Day. There's going to be a whole heap of various things. I'm working on it, but yeah, let's do something sort of more immediately. I will start to reach out on forums. I'll provide templates. Let's get involved and let's kick off 2025 with lots of exciting things to come.
Great. Thank you so much, Sarah, and thank you for helping bring the Women of Odyssey work group back. Next up, our final one for today is going to be the Atlas Working Group. Presenting is Chris Knoll.
Okay, thank you, Craig. Just going to briefly review what we had. We had our February community working group call on the 4th. That was an open call to a broader community that isn't so focused on our technical members of the group. And if we go to the next slide, we can just talk about what the specific mission was of our group. The Atlas Working Group will provide a forum for the Odyssey community of developers that are interested in improving the open source software applications Atlas and Web API. These tools aim to provide capabilities to perform phenotype evaluation, which is our focus in the first half of 2025, and design standardized analytics to execute on the OMOP Common Data Model, which is our second half 2025 objective. Identifying these specifically, for our first objective is to foster a collaborative environment to ensure the effective execution and timely updates of Atlas, enhancing community engagement and software quality. The key results for this will be to resolve the 2.15 issues that we have outstanding so that we can do our final 2.x release for the 2. Line of our tool. First quarter 2025 is our target. Our key result 2 will be the Web API 3.0's technical upgrade, which will involve upgrading to either JDK 19 or 21, which we will determine after more collaborative feedback from the community, and upgrade our dependencies to be very modern versions of all of our dependencies that are in the Java stack. The third key result is to engage our community for an Atlas 4.0 redesign. We've had external collaborators from Data for Life to come in and offering their services and volunteer to help coalesce our ideas about what the user experience will be and what our capabilities will be and what our story will be about Atlas for our 4.0 release. And our key result 4, and we'd like to do this sooner rather than later, is to create an Atlas usage survey to capture the most used functions and functionality gaps that are identified by the community. This will help us in our process of moving into our 3.0 platform to basically, we have the freedom to break backwards compatibility when we move from major releases from a 2.0 to a 3.0. So we will be able to take this opportunity to kind of remove anything that's obsolete or no longer finding value in the community, and also potentially change around some things for the 3.0 release to make things a little bit more functional. Second objective is to review a framework of open source community collaboration. Key results here will be to establish the protocol for requirements gathering and feature vetting. The second will be to define criteria for what is ready to code, which means once it's vetted and we have enough level of detail and a shared understanding of what the technical accomplishment will be for a certain feature, we can deem that ready to code and people can start digging in and actually doing the work to deliver. And then the key result 3 will be establishing a review process on once those implementations are complete, what is the appropriate channels and communications to go through to verify that it satisfies all the coding requirements that we want to have for releasing our software. All right. Key areas of focus can be broken down to 2 parts: scientific, which involves what are the scientific activities, phenotype evaluation, characterization, and comparison, study design, and reporting. And the second part of our focus is on a technical space, what the user experience is, performance of the applications, security considerations, method implementations, and those people that have language expertise in Spring, Java, JavaScript, and HTML technologies. The Atlas Workgroup wants to just welcome all community members to collaborate on these above focus members if you have those skills and expertise. Finally, our meeting schedule is we have the first of the month is a open community call, which is more focused on strategy and more of an open communication about not technical. So we can just call the first week not non-technical meeting. And then we have our weekly developer meetings on the non-first Tuesdays of each month to discuss the features, vet features, facilitate the process I just described in our OKRs, review open pull requests, and triage issues and bugs that we find in the tools.